Hello, hello. You're super quiet for me. Are you, your level's
Of
good?
course I am because I'm.
You can tell we did a lot of prep for this one.
A lot of prep.
There we
Better?
go.
There we
There we
go.
go.
Let's do that intro again. Hello and welcome to Not Replaced Yet Office Hours. My name is Nick Bushcar. I'm here with my brother Jesse. Once again, say hello, Jesse.
Hello, hello, hello. Happy Friday.
Happy Friday. This is the show where we run down the top news stories from the day in AI. And since it's Friday, we're also going to end with our thoughts, opinions, feelings about the most important things from the week. And also, if any of you are out there watching, listening, whatever, we hope to engage with you. Please ask any questions. Think of us as your personal AI consultants. Also, if you're here, please follow us. That would be great. A like, a comment is super important, helps the algorithm push things out. And then, of course, share this with anyone who you think might benefit, might be interested in AI content, the future of work, all that kind of good stuff. And so, yeah, let's kick things off. What's going on in your world, man? AI wise or otherwise?
Well, I sent you a text via Gemini
I
before
did
this
see
episode.
that.
Did you
What?
get
How was
that
that
text?
experience?
It worked,
Cool.
which is more than I can say for most of my interactions with Gemini because I'm a Google hater these days. It made me do two revisions that felt unnecessary. I am in love with this idea, and I don't know if it'll work in practice, but I'm in love with the idea of the AI assistant who handles trivial texts and messages. I try not to sneeze.
You've talked about that for a while.
Yeah. And it's not that I want to disconnect from human communication, it's that all the tiny, tedious, um, utilitarian communication on my way type or call back shortly or something. We already do this a version of this, right? We have short replies that we don't write. I think the layer that I'm excited about is the admission that I didn't write it. The new normalization of it's an AI writing for me. And that's why I did a revision that said written by Gemini because I think that, like when phones were first a thing and your email signature had like composed on an iPhone, please excuse typos or whatever that nonsense was.
That's not when phones were first a thing, Jesse.
Fair enough. That's now and back then. But when they
No,
started coming out, you started seeing those
our grandparents were on party lines.
different phones. It's a good point.
Yeah.
Not non-landlines. But I'm just saying I think that the disclaimer of like, hey, written by an AI, so this tedious communication is just handled. And that way I don't have to think about how do I weave a nicety into this thing that's really utilitarian? You know what I mean? Like
Right.
when I was building Bright Here back in the day, a million years ago, a startup that never started. Um, it was about local journalism, and I had to differentiate like the quality journalism and the like today's trash day journalism. Like today is like what's for school lunch in a newspaper is very utilitarian, or the classifieds or something. And then there's like investigative journalism that takes creative work and things like that. So anyway, I've obviously got a whole thing about it, but the text worked. You received it. Are you
Cool.
are you excited about that as an application in the future, or do you think it'll go that way or not?
I do think it'll go that way, and excitement's not quite the word, but I'm ready for it, and it'll just be a nice, one less thing.
Just one less thing. That's right.
One less thing. Do you have the news doc that I sent over
I
to
do.
you?
Let's
Okay,
rock and
perfect.
roll.
All right, let's jump into today's top stories. So there's big. Oh, today is May 2nd, Friday. Or let's. This is for the edit later. Today is Friday, May 2nd. There's big movement in AI healthcare. At ASCRS 2025, Dr. Anne-Marie Hipsley debuted a digital twin of the aging human eye. It's called the Virtual Eye Simulation Analyzer, and it uses AI to model how eyes change over time. The goal? Personalized treatments for vision loss before it happens.
So cool. So cool. AI isn't just used for diagnostics in the healthcare space. It's showing up in elder care too. A Wisconsin program is using AI tools to fight loneliness among seniors. WEAU reports that the Aging and Disability Resource Center is rolling out companion tech and virtual assistants that can carry on conversations and offer emotional support.
One group not feeling the love from AI this week is the UK's creative industry. Artists and media groups slammed the British government's proposed copyright changes, which would let AI firms train on copyrighted work without consent. According to The Times, the backlash is growing with creators demanding transparency and fair licensing.
Yeah, meanwhile, Shopify is thinking globally too, with AI as the unlock. CEO Daniel Ek told the New York Post the company wants to use AI to translate all 7 million podcasts into English in real time. If successful, it could reshape global content reach and push Spotify deeper into AI powered media.
Back home, there is a quiet but significant shift in the U.S. tech labor market. Computer World reports that over 214,000 tech jobs were cut in April, one of the worst months in recent memory. While legacy roles shrink, hiring is still up in AI-related fields, and employers are doubling down on skills-based hiring rather than degrees or titles.
And that talent reshuffle has deeper roots than just hiring preferences. According to Semaphore, the U.S. is no longer gaining AI researchers at the rate it used to. For the first time, we're losing as many as we bring in. That puts America's AI dominance at risk, and it's fueling calls for smarter immigration policy. At the Hill and Valley Forum, bipartisan lawmakers joined tech execs to argue that U.S. needs immigration reform to stay ahead in the AI arms race.
Tech leaders like Jensen Huang, Alex Karp, and Vinod Khosla gathered alongside policymakers to argue that the U.S. must attract global AI talent or risk falling behind China. Speakers advocated for a more nuanced immigration strategy, one that keeps out spies but rolls out the red carpet for PhDs in math, physics, and AI.
Yeah, and they weren't pulling any punches. Applied Intuition CEO said there are 8 billion people, and we need to continue to attract them. Others warn that Trump's crackdown on legal immigration and student visas is already shrinking the pool of future researchers and cutting off a key U.S. advantage.
And that is it for today's top AI headlines. And as always, since this is Friday, I took a bit of time to think through what I thought were three of the most interesting, most important things in the AI space over the entire week that we discussed. And so I have a few things written down here, and I just want to key you up. So, to start with a light topic, let's go over to immigration. So we are obviously in a moment of serious upheaval globally, and immigration is at the forefront of the Trump administration's policy. So trying to keep it narrowly in the conversation surrounding AI, and this almost sounds silly saying it, but what are your thoughts on maintaining the U.S. as the premier place to attract high-level talent?
I mean, we're going to be one of the places. Is that good enough? I don't know. And how much do we incentivize the international talent, the high skill immigration side? I mean, I don't have. I'm aware of the H-1B visa dialogue and like ongoing kind of high skill immigration conversation, but I don't have strong opinions in it. I'm fortunate to not. We're both fortunate to like not necessarily be impacted in any like real direct ways because like we've both been like freelance technologists and then kind of off the beaten path technologists, not Silicon Valley mainstays working in large companies that have a considerable, offshore and talent, glut or deficit. And I think AI is just the continuation of that. Like, this is not a new problem. This is a continuity. And
Well,
I don't know.
to keep it sort of specifically around the stories that we've discussed this week around immigration, I mean, the ones that we just talked about, right? So
Mhm.
this is not necessarily an AI problem. What it is it's a current administration problem. And of course, we're
Mm.
not a political podcast, and you and I have our, we have our opinions about what's going on with all that, but and not to dive deep into that space, but I would assume that you are for the method, the approach that makes it as easy as possible to allow the highest level talent to come to the country to work in the most important field at the moment, right?
Yeah, generally speaking, it's a good thing for America to be able to attract and keep and benefit from A plus plus level talent. Yes,
Yeah,
absolutely.
just seems silly not to do that. But all right, I guess since that's a kind of a layup question, we'll move on. I wrote something up here, and this is slightly different, and you'll see what I mean by the end of that. So the escalating AI chip rivalry between the U.S. and China has intensified. NVIDIA CEO Jensen Huang voiced concerns over U.S. export restrictions that have been proposed, and those restrictions have been vocally supported by Anthropic, which of course is a major U.S. player in the AI space. And he's voiced concerns over potentially his concerns are over that those restrictions potentially bolster China's technological advancements. Huang has cautioned that these limitations might inadvertently accelerate Huawei's progress in developing competitive AI chips such as the Ascend 910D, aimed at rivaling NVIDIA's H100. And this development underscores the geopolitical stakes in the AI sector, where technological supremacy is closely tied to national security and economic influence. And all of this, of course, is tied to exactly what we just talked about in immigration. But what I did differently here is that this entire space made me think of 5 questions. And so I just want to I'm just going to say the questions out loud, and you can react in any way you want. Okay. So 1, are U.S. export controls helping or hurting? Can the U.S. maintain AI dominance without manufacturing dominance? Is Anthropic's position undermining U.S. Strategy? What happens if Huawei's chips actually perform well enough? And are we prepared for an AI arms race without full control over the supply chain? Thoughts?
I'll take them one at a time. 1, are U.S. export controls helping or hurting? My understanding is that they're helping generally. Now, that's not without negative externalities, and that is just through the synthesis of other experts and media, right? We're not sitting at a first-party perspective of U.S. export controls. We're synthesizing a lot of what we hear. And so my understanding is it is helping more than hurting, and then you've got to try to minimize the negative externalities. I don't know, do you have that take, or you want me to go through all 5? What do you think? You want to dwell on them?
The thing that I haven't done. No, yeah, you go ahead. Yeah, no, please.
Okay. So yeah, on the one, I would say helping, but happy to be educated beyond that, my position. Number 2, can the U.S. maintain AI dominance without manufacturing dominance? I mean, we have not specific to AI. We have maintained a considerable amount of influence in the world while downscaling our manufacturing dominance in other places. And I think that's tied to question number 5. Are we prepared for an AI arms race without full control over the supply chain? We've never had full control over the supply chain. And that future is...
All right, sorry.
You disagree? I mean, I don't know. I mean, TSMC is in Taiwan. It's an incredibly dynamic landscape. I would not say we have full control over, the GPU supply chain.
I agree. We do not have full control over the supply chain. What we have is, we currently have the ability. Yeah, we currently have the ability to stop China from getting the best chips, and it's because those chips are made by NVIDIA, and NVIDIA uses TSMC to build their chips, obviously. And so what we have is essentially the most important cog in the machine that outputs the highest level chips in this race. And so and we have restricted China from getting those chips, and it is up to us. They recently allowed certain chips to go to China that used to not be able to go to China, and also
$1 million a plate, man. You buy your never mind.
There you go. Yeah. So
sorry,
but it's not full control, but it's something like it. I don't know.
It's more control than we probably will. We have more control now than than we might have had in the multiverse, I guess. But it's important to maintain that control, like kind of yes-anding what you're saying. It's not full control. That's a simplification, but it is a desirable amount, and we should want more. It's a good thing to have to position. Your question number 3 is Anthropic's positioning undermining U.S. strategy. I doubt it. Being kind of at a 30,000 foot view, I don't see Anthropic. they want responsible restrictions. And I think Jensen Huang has an obvious, incentive to sell to more and the highest bidder and both of those things. And so I
Yeah.
don't think Anthropic has any kind of incentive. And of all the AI big players, I trust Anthropic's like mission orientation and their like above boardedness. I don't know if that's a good thing or, unfounded, but I do. And I think the number 4 question is the most important and most interesting. What happens if Huawei's chips actually perform well enough? That's like, what do you think China is trying to do? Is trying to like invent the next thing that takes the control back, which would undermine Nvidia's monopoly and would like and my take, this is just a from the hip take, it's gonna happen. We should plan and prepare for a considerable improvement in like the hardware leveraging. And I know, like, I say that from a couple perspectives, and maybe this is a rabbit hole that doesn't need to be opened up, but like, if you listen to Ilya Sutskever, who invented a lot of this stuff, the shortest version I can say, he invented a lot of this stuff, and he's like worth $2 billion of seed funding, the largest seed round in the history of venture or whatever. Like, he is a true luminary and like inventor of the core technologies here.
Wait, that wasn't
When you
Ilya.
listen,
That was
was that Mira
the
Murati's
yeah, Mira Murati got that. But I mean,
thinking
he's got a lot of
machines or whatever?
VC
Ilya's
money
got
too,
the
but
SSI something
right.
superintelligence, Society of Superintelligence, something like this.
That might be safe
Anyway, Ilya left
superintelligence.
yeah, it's not Society. That's too creepy. That's Skull and Bones level. But the he was co-founder of OpenAI. He authored the academic papers that underpinned a lot of like the revolution we're seeing now. And if you listen to him, he is so simply comparing technology to human wetware to the brain, right? Like the amount of electricity that the brain takes to do the calculations is so minuscule. And I think about that a lot of like, we're building, gigawatt power centers and all sorts of massive monstrosities. A single like algorithmic shortcut, whether Huawei does it or someone else, just like changes everything. And I think DeepSeek is going to be seen as like a real tip of the iceberg of what disruption's possible. I mean, if CPUs undervalue GPUs, if those startups like take off and kill it, like that could be a global recession because of the amount of capex invested in GPUs. You know what I mean? Like take
Right.
hundreds of billions of dollars and evaporate the value
If
that
that
was
drops
supposed
in
to create.
2030, things change.
Yeah, yeah.
Um,
Uh,
all right. Well, let's move on to the final topic, and it's a slightly lighter than immigration and the global race for AI supremacy. Visa and OpenAI are pushing AI deeper into shopping. Visa's new intelligent commerce platform lets AI agents search for products and make purchases on a user's behalf, while ChatGPT now offers personalized shopping suggestions through conversation. Together, these moves signal a shift toward frictionless AI managed commerce. It's fast and personalized, but it raises questions about control, fairness, and trust. And so I also wrote 5 questions here, and we can, we can answer them or not, whatever you want. But how will companies protect user trust and financial data? Who's really making the decisions, users or algorithms? Will AI favor big brands over smaller sellers? Do current laws cover AI-driven transactions? And will this change how actively people shop and spend? I want to, those are the 5 questions that came to mind when I was writing that out. But also, you know, you especially have been a marketer for so long now, and
so long.
so long. Um, you know, you were marketing before Shopify was a dominant player in this space, and there was a time, but there was the dominant player before that, and before that, and Craigslist and news ads and et cetera, et cetera. And
Hmm.
so, um, to me, this seems like the most obvious evolution of the shopping landscape. You have hyper personalized, smart recommendation engines that are, getting better and better daily. And so, of course, shopping is going to go here because they're going to optimize for higher sales. So I don't know. Just what are your thoughts, maybe on any of those questions, or just in general about that?
Yeah, in general, I am not the user who gets excited about shopping innovations. Like from a consumer perspective, very little of my day, week, month is spent thinking about like retail purchases. And so I think of it as like it's only as important, like an innovation in that space is only as important in my life as that space is important in my life. For me, I think, and I might be on a lower end. Like I don't really have fashion interests. If you can't tell, I don't have a lot of like I don't know. Again, I'm not the social shopper. I bought like three things off of like an Instagram ad or something. It's just not much. But in terms of like expectation, yeah, this makes perfect sense. I don't know that companies like your question number one, how will companies protect user trust and financial data? To me, the norms for that will emerge and actually are largely in place. Like we're not going to a completely new level. Like the digital laws, in fact, probably are like a little out ahead of themselves in preparation for this, I would say, because we have legislation on what companies can and have to do with their private data. And not that it's perfect, but it's like not starting from zero. On who's really making the decisions, users or algorithms, both,
Algorithms.
like
No, it's
algorithms. Right,
algorithms.
right.
No, man. No, it's algorithms for sure.
I mean, if you just completely simplify it, you're going to be shown three pairs of sunglasses by the algorithm, and you might pick one of those three pairs. Like, so you didn't actually make a choice from any sunglasses you could buy. You made a choice of the three you preferred. One of the three you preferred. I think that like narrowing is what's actually happening. So like the algorithms
Yeah.
choose what you get exposed to, and then you have a
Of
very
course.
small percentage.
It happens now. The algorithm
That's
of,
what I
of
mean.
Google Shopping and Instagram and et cetera. I think three is like it's just unanswerable. But will AI favor big brands over smaller sellers? I don't know. What do you like? Why? Tell me this instead of like answering that specific question. What would the incentive be for a ChatGPT to optimize for smaller sellers, if there is one?
Yeah. Well, there's more advertisers. There's more of them. Like the
Mm,
incentive to optimize for smaller sellers is you have a wider pool of customers as a marketplace. And if you don't have a relationship with the 50 biggest brands, but there's 50,000 or 500,000 small sellers, that's just a different marketplace approach. The question, as it's written, will AI favor big brands? AI, I don't think. If you take it at its purest form, AI is just trying to give you what you want. And so the better the AI is, the better it is at giving you what you want. You might want to get Target and Old Navy clothes, or you might want to get it from brands that people have never heard of. That's kind of like a stylistic archetype,
yeah,
question. And AI should kind of bob and weave with your preferences there. But the question of will whose AI favor big brands? Will Google's AI favor big brands? Probably, because
probably.
but they have a large footprint with smaller sellers as well. So like I think it's who's steering that will determine like the weighting, but there's
Sure.
value in both. Otherwise, it wouldn't exist how it does now.
And so I mean, unless you really have something that you want to say about four or five, do you? Because I have something a bit more that I kind of want to dive into on this
I think
topic.
five is like completely open ended. I don't have an opinion on what happens.
Yeah,
Will this
five is
change how
will this
actively?
change how actively people shop and spend, right? If it
Yeah,
becomes a more passive thing, if AI just knows what you want, it can just it knows that I want to buy. It's almost like the next step. Like Amazon created the one-click buy button, and this is the
hmm
no-click buy. It's like my AI knows that I'm running low on paper towels, and it knows the brand I
yeah.
like and how often and how many I want in stock, and it just does it. And if I give it the go ahead, then yeah, that's great. But
But I mean,
the thing, okay,
Amazon does that now.
the thing that I want to dive into though is
Yeah.
I think when you said this the other day about how like, well, I'm not the guy. I don't buy it this way. This is not my thing. I It's strange to me to hear you come at it from that perspective because
Mm.
that's so personal rather than you're a marketer. You're someone who has worked hard to optimize sales for other companies. And like this is a brand new, or maybe you don't see it that way, but like it's a brand new entrant like into this space where that might boost sales. And it's just, I don't know, to me it's more interesting. It's not about you, it's about the space, right? And so I don't know, does
Yeah.
that hit you in any way? Does it, like, if you take that perspective, like, take yourself out of it, like, what do you think?
Yeah. That's a great question. And I don't say that it's not me to be like flippant about it or dismissive. It's just like I do try to start from like what do I care about, and so
Yeah, fair
that's where I
enough.
started. But I think like it's a new medium. It's a new interaction modality, and so it certainly will change how people shop. We did this exercise. You and I kind of, I forget what it was for. I don't think it was for a client. I think we were just like screwing around and coming up with ideas. But like, I do see, I see the shopping impact as a as an emergent property of the fields getting to a certain place. For example, a ubiquitous AI assistant who is very low friction accessed, meaning that's in your earbud and it's good at listening and it's good at chiming in when you want it to, and it stays out of your world when you don't. Glasses, Ray-Bans, whatever the thing is, or even a more frictionless mobile phone experience. That has to be to a certain point where I can just say, "Hey, show me I need some new shoes. Show me some new shoes," right? And I don't think that's happening. I think that's like at the very beginnings of happening. So right now, I don't see it as being a big impact. I see it as being 100% of the way people shop online in the future, because I think that's going to eat all software. I think AI eats the browser, AI eats most mobile apps, and so like shopping starts to just kind of become part of what you do in there, because it's where you digest the web, where you digest maybe social media even. And you can conversationally say, yeah, just use my Amex or just use my Visa. You don't have to put it in. Like the security layer being baked into every interaction, it's double checking if it's you because of your own like linguistic fingerprints and interaction fingerprints. Like it should have to ask you for your password a lot less. It should like kill 2FA if we're lucky. So I think like
3FA,
that part,
that's what we need.
yeah, 3FA. That part is like just the usability has to get a lot more like convenient and seamless before I think someone would go out of their way to like shop into that.
Yeah.
Um,
A different direction that you could think about it from is from a marketer's or an agency perspective, where there's going to be a
mhm.
bunch of clients who are going to say, how do I get my product in that list? What do I do? How do I,
Well, yeah,
what on
the
my
SEO
site,
of it
on
all,
the SEO
the
of it all?
SEO of it all, and I mean I do this daily. You and I both work in this space daily and weekly, and my take on that side of it is that it's all a black box that there's not much you can do about yet. Like OpenAI is not releasing their web scraping best practices. So what you do is you lean on observation and you lean on legacy best practices. I mean, we were talking about this the other day, and I was talking about this with a couple different clients. Google's always said just make good content for people. And so like on the one hand, there's been 2 to 3 decades of rocky, crazy developments. On the other hand, SEO's been the same game since day one. And AI is just trying to do the same thing that Google's algorithm has been, which is like think like a human and respond like a human with helpful results. And so like on the one hand, maybe MCP servers matter in SEO in the future, because what it does is it helps give brands a syntax and a context to like frame their content to be the most digestible. It's still just make good content. You know what I mean? Us nerds in the middle layer will like have to tweak those that part of the stack, but the content people and the brand people are like still just make good stuff, same as you always have been tasked with doing. So I don't know. Like I think it's too early to say how it will. It definitely will eat all of shopping. It definitely will take over, and I'm excited for it too, because I think the good parts will outweigh and the like gaps will get solved. But I don't know. Are you excited about that? Is it something you're like
Again,
clamoring
excitement
for?
is not the word. but I'm happy for it to come, especially if it offers me cool new brands or products or things that I wouldn't know about, you know, otherwise. So I'm
Yeah.
excited for it, but I'm not excited for it, but great.
You,
If
you
it's
know
a better
what? One
experience, love it.
one downside I can conceive of is like ghost brands like Ghost Kitchens.
Mm.
Ghost Kitchen, right?
Well,
Like
yeah. I mean, it's kind of like a drop shipping world, right? That's what I would think of it as. Like it's like
yeah.
you can think of an AI, an endless amount of AIs spinning up drop shipping companies that are pulling from, well, in the near term, not China, but maybe elsewhere, Vietnam, Indonesia, India,
Mhm.
and depending on the tariff situation. And yeah, that would be like an AI ghost brand,
Mhm.
like explosion. And so, yeah,
Yeah. Yeah.
AI ghost brand explosion, band name, call it.
Band band name. Got it.
Yeah.
That's
Uh,
heavy emo.
well, I think that's a good place to call it for the week, unless you have anything else that you want to dive into.
No, I'm not up on the sycophancy stuff. That's the OpenAI's stuff. I think maybe I'll read into that. It kind of annoys me.
I just don't think it's that big of a deal. I think it's a small blip in the giant ocean of what's going on. It's a moment in time, and 6 months from now we'll forget that it happened. So who cares?
And probably just a PR strategy because they did reverse course literally minutes after deploying
Yeah,
on a single tweet. Anyway,
it's whatever. So all
yeah.
right, well, I think that's it. This has been another interesting and wild week in the world of AI, and we thank anyone who's here watching. If you are, watching at this point, please once again comment, share, subscribe. We want to grow this community of people who are interested in AI, the future of work, and what's going on here, and we need your support. And if you like what you're seeing here, please share with someone.
Por
So.
favor.
Yes, and we're still ironing out our outros. These will get better as time goes on. But for Jesse, my name is Nick Bushkar, and this has been Not Replaced Yet, Office Hours, and we will see you next week.
Adios.